Well, this is pork schnitzel with tonkatsu sauce, and it's from my new book, Simple Suppers. Now, all the recipes in Simple Suppers are obviously simple, and this pork tonkatsu is no exception. So I start with a piece of pork loin, and this is written for 2 people, but I'm just going to cook 1 for brevity's point of view. You wouldn't want to cook more than for 2 people because it's quite sort of tricky to fit 4 pieces of pork loin battened out, as I'm going to do now, to about 3 to 5 millimeters thick. And the great point about using pork loin is it's very tender meat and therefore flattens out very well, very easily I should say. Just use a rolling pin. And the reason for bashing it out is you get this lovely combination of fried breadcrumbs and the meat. You're almost bashing it out to the thickness of a beer mat. And one of my friends reckoned that the whole point of things like schnitzels was the breadcrumbs, the fried breadcrumbs. And he once said to me, you know, if you soaked a beer mat and fried it in breadcrumbs, people would still love it. So this recipe is just for 2 people, simply because it takes quite a lot of space in a frying pan to cook for 4. But I'm only cooking 1 piece here just to keep it short and sweet, the recipe short and sweet. So that's battened out to about 5 millimeters. Now I'm just going to season both sides with salt and pepper. And now I'm going to what they call paneing, which is first of all put it through flour, give it a bit of a smack to get the excess flour off, and then through egg, pick it up by the edge so you don't get too much egg on your fingers, and finally into the breadcrumbs. And these are panko breadcrumbs, the Japanese breadcrumbs that are particularly crisp. I tend to do all my breaded goods with panko these days just because of the lovely crisp finish. So that's ready now to fry. Now I'm looking for a temperature here of about 160 degrees centigrade, 180 degrees centigrade. And I'm frying in just ordinary vegetable oil, but what I'm going to do as I finish frying is just put a little knob of butter in there. Now you can fry your escalopes in butter, but it tends to burn. So I would suggest if you want butter all the way through, use ghee, which is clarified butter. But what I do is just to fry it in a bit of oil, then add a knob of butter to just give a lovely buttery flavour. So there we go, we're going to fry it for about 2 minutes on either side. Now while that's cooking, I'd just like to tell you about where this dish came from originally. We were filming in Japan, in Tokyo, and there's a part of Tokyo called Ginza, which is really busy and very atmospheric, and there's a railway running through the centre of Ginza, and there was just these little restaurants underneath, in the railway arches underneath the railway line. And typically in Japanese it looked really sort of very, very impromptu. I remember eating one of these escalopes or schnitzels with tonkatsu sauce and sitting on beer crates, and the table was made out of beer crates too. And just a glass of Japanese lager and eating this and the lovely sauce that's coming up with it. It seemed very, very sort of like casual, but the great thing about Japan is they love everything to look casual, but of course it's very well thought through. It's all about style. There we are, just have a look at the underneath now, because I'm looking for a nice colour. And what I like to say with all fried goods like this is you want it brown but not too brown. I think when it gets to sort of dark brown, it tends to be overcooked. And I think people do tend to overcook breaded goods. You don't need to, it's much nicer if it's got a nice pale to medium brown. So let's have a look at that now. It's feeling good. That's lovely. So I'm cooking these for about 2 to 3 minutes on either side, and at about 180 degrees, the oil temperature. And I'm aiming to get a sort of light brown finish on it. If it seems to be getting a bit too dark too quickly, just turn the heat down. It's not as precise as that, but I'm just telling you those are the sort of temperatures I work at. So now just to finish off with a little bit of butter, just to get the nice flavour of hot butter into my escalope, just melt that as the last thing I do, and then just baste it over the top of my escalope like that. And now just transfer that to a warm plate. So now the tonkatsu sauce, very simple, a couple of tablespoons or so of tomato ketchup. You can buy tonkatsu sauce in most supermarkets now, but I think it's just nice to make your own. About a tablespoon of Worcester sauce, a couple of teaspoons of soy sauce, about half a teaspoon of French mustard, well, a bit more there, but it doesn't really matter, and a generous pinch of sugar. Now just stir those all up. It's as simple as that. As I said, you can buy it, but I just think there's something nice about making a lovely sort of piquant sauce like this out of things in your cupboard. Hope you don't mind, I just want to taste this now. It's so much better than the commercial tonkatsu sauce. It's really worth making your own. It's so easy. What I like about this dish is the lovely sort of glistening, sweet, slightly tart sauce, tonkatsu sauce, and then the crispness of the schnitzel. Bit of steamed rice and some greens like that. I think your kids would love it.